If you're a business owner, you don't need us to tell you running a business is tough. Don't let QuickBooks and spreadsheets slow you down anymore. Now is the time to upgrade to NetSuite by Oracle, the world's #1 cloud business system. NetSuite gives you the visibility and control over your financials, HR, inventory, e-commerce, and more. Join the over 21,000 companies using NetSuite right now. Schedule your free product tour right now at netsuite.com/C-suite. netsuite.com/C-suite.
Welcome back to the Superhero Homies podcast. My name is Quentin, and as always, I'm here with the homie Kevin.
Hey, good evening, everybody. Happy middle of week. Hopefully the first half has been splendid and your second half won't be too hard.
Yeah, I know for me, myself, today was pretty good. Had the day off of work, so that's always a great day.
Yeah, you and me both.
Yeah.
Got some of them errands done.
Yeah.
Got some relaxing in. Yeah.
Yep. And so it's like, how does superhero homie Quentin spend his day off? Well, I wake up, and that's always a great start.
Recommended, definitely.
Yeah.
Better than the antigen to that,
Right.
definitely.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yep. It's better than either, dying or sleeping the entire day and waking up and you having to go back to work again. Because then it's like you didn't get a day off.
Exactly. Yeah. It's like waking up at 5 in the evening because you killed the day. What's left?
Right.
Yeah. Go get some dinner. Maybe make it a breakfast dinner so you can enjoy it more, but whatever.
But no, so I woke up, rubbed the dust from my eyes, and tried to shake out the crankiness. Showered up, went downstairs, and watched X-Men because I realized that I had not done so up until today. So it's like I better get this done. And then I played video games.
Yep. For
quite some time.
I joined you for some of those video games.
You joined me for my video gaming, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. And then I watched Incredibles.
Getting ready for next week.
Getting ready for tomorrow.
Oh shit! No, that's Jurassic World next week. Yeah. No, this is Dadgummit. I know what I'm doing tomorrow during work. Kevin, what is that? Nothing, ma'am. I'm sorry. Don't fire me.
That's right.
Yeah.
But yeah, so a day well spent, and now of course we're here podcasting. Can't think of a better way to end the day. Yeah, but so yeah, guys. So today we're covering X-Men, the very first X-Men that came out in the year 2000. And with X-Men, obviously it wasn't the very first superhero movie to come out, not even close. But I do think that it can be given the title. Or given, I guess, the recognition for being the movie that really kick-started the superhero craze.
Well, it is officially the first one of the millennium,
That's true.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, I mean, in a sense, it definitely does claim first,
With heavy quotations.
Well, yes. There's thick, italicized even quotations, But you're right. There was a certain feel about this movie that definitely began and led us to where we are now, you know? Yeah.
As I was watching the movie this morning, I was reminded of, a lot of things. Thankfully, Bryan Singer really knew how he wanted to take this movie and, really understood the concept of the X-Men. Because after watching this movie, once again, guys, this is legitimately... I've watched this movie now legitimately over a dozen times. But what's interesting is that Bryan Singer thankfully understood the message and the concept of the X-Men, because I can definitely see a lesser director not taking the same care with this type of property and this movie being a flop.
Right.
Because honestly, if you look at the broad strokes of this movie and the broad overarching plot beats, then it's it can seem a little silly at times. But once you understand the properties and what this movie is really trying to convey to you, then it becomes like a much more real situation. And then thankfully, Bryan Singer does know that for all the shit that people give him for his X-Men movies, he did a really good job with this one. He does a really good job typically with all the X-Men movies that he's done, because he didn't do 3. That was Brett Ratner.
No, instead he erased 3 from existence.
Technically he erased must have been at least part of 2 from existence also.
2 and 3 arguably.
I mean, we really don't know like the repercussions of that still. But a lot of shit was changed after the events of Days of Future Past.
Yippee.
Oh yeah.
No, honestly, I really enjoyed it. I mean, I remember as a kid, that was one of the movies that I bonded with my dad watching, because we'd sit there on the couch and just watch the movie. It was in total silence, but it was still like I'm watching a movie with my dad. Yeah. One of those cool little fun, cute situations.
Right.
But that's when I was 10 as well, when this movie came out,
Right. I had a similar experience. Like, I remember it was a Sunday afternoon, my dad took me to go see this movie in theater. And that was a great experience seeing that. That was the first time I saw the movie.
Okay. That was one of the beginnings of comic book Quentin, who we have now.
It was, yeah. That was one of the building
early
blocks.
moldings, yeah.
Yeah.
We'll have to thank your father officially.
Oh, yeah. Because I'm sure he remembers this.
Oh, totally. Just like I'm sure my dad remembers, yeah. Probably watching it on FX, you know? Yeah. Oh, man. But no, so I do want to say this before we get into like the coverage and breakdown of the movie. Sure.
There's a lot of things that this movie does well, and for it being the very first X-Men movie, I think that it's serviceable, more than serviceable. I think it's actually really damn good.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of people, when they look at the X-Men trilogy, the original trilogy, they like the common consensus is to say that X-Men 2 is the best of the X-Men trilogy, but I think the X1 is actually better.
Same here. X2 was definitely fun, There was a lot of awesome stuff to it, but plot-wise, we'll talk about that later.
Yeah. Most definitely. I'm not even saying that this is like, the world's greatest plot here in X1, but they really seem to capture the essence of the X-Men more in this one, as far as what they mean and what they stand for. The sequel was somehow even more of a solo Wolverine movie than X1 was.
Yeah, they did do one thing really well in X1. They gave attention a lot to. They even highlighted some more the political aspect of things rather than like just team versus team aspect of things or anything awkward like that, attacking it from the world's point of view and then shifting it over to our fellow mutants' point of view and whatnot. Definitely helps out, I think, in the first movie's overall judgment. But you're right, it definitely was like a showcase of check out this person introducing Hugh Jackman,
Right.
Yeah.
And then, they have the nerve to say, well, we're not sure why the other mutants aren't being as well received, so, we're pushing Wolverine. And I'm like, no, you have that backwards.
Exactly. Yeah, that's not how you fix the problem.
Right.
And one thing that we don't talk about enough is that this movie also had really smart casting.
It did.
Ian McKellen, Patrick Stewart, Anna Paquin, dude.
Paquin.
However you say the last name.
I was actually really surprised that Ian McKellen and Patrick Stewart, even agreed to be in such a movie, because these guys are like, theater actors. Like, these guys are serious, hardcore actors who study and know the craft like really well. Not saying anything else about the other actors, but I can understand them just wanting to collect on a really nice paycheck.
Yeah, I know for Patrick, I've actually watched an interview of him because I've been such a fan of his work. He actually talks about his earlier days in acting then, and he said that he was actually very excited to do X-Men because at the time in his life, he hadn't learned how to say no to a role, and that was one that he was very ecstatic to receive, I'm sure now in his age that he's had to definitely, unfortunately toss down a role or two by now, But at that time frame, he was like, nah, let it come. Give me the contract, I don't know the case for anyone else, but I'm glad they got who they did.
Yeah, I agree. And it's hard to think that, and just one universe over, we did not have Hugh Jackman as Wolverine.
Yep. Yeah. Actually, I got a list of those people who were almost freaking Wolverine.
Right. I think Hugh was like number 4 on that list. He was not in the runnings.
No. I mean, Bob Hoskins was on the list. Freaking. Oh, really? You're gonna make me click it? This is stupid. Okay. I know freaking Nicolas Cage was almost Wolverine. Like
or Jack Nicholson. I know they considered him also.
Oh no, I'm pretty sure Nicolas Cage too, yeah.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah.
I know they considered Mel Gibson. He was actually one of their very first choices, but thankfully he that did not go through.
Russell Crowe.
Russell Crowe was in the running.
I'm kind of glad they didn't choose Russell because apparently he's a jerk in real life.
Really?
And I did not. Yeah, you wouldn't hope so, but damn it,
I try to take those things with a grain of salt.
Same here. Some musician named Glenn Danzig.
Danzig. Yeah.
Who else we got here? Aaron Eckhart. That would have been kind of an interesting.
That would have been.
Yeah. I like him a lot, but I loved his Punisher more so. No wait, that wasn't
Two-Face.
Aaron Eckhart. Yeah, damn it, you're right.
He was Two-Face.
I'm getting that mixed up now. Oh. This would have been interesting. Check this out.
Is that Jean-Claude Van Damme?
Exactly, yes. That would have been kind of cool. Because, he would have kicked ass, but a lot more martial arts than...
He would have been way too, flexible and aerodynamic for Wolverine.
Exactly.
And also way too French-Canadian. Way too Canadian.
Very much so. We got Viggo Mortensen here.
He would have actually been a really good Wolverine.
I actually am unfamiliar with his work. Edward Norton too.
Lord of the Rings, man. Aragorn.
Yeah. Oh shit.
Yeah.
Wow. Won't. I'm gonna go punish myself later and cry in a corner that I didn't get that. But Edward Norton was also on the list.
Yeah.
I think that would have been interesting. Thomas Jane. There it is. That's where I got confused earlier. Yep. Damn it. He did a good Punisher. Keanu Reeves, I think. No, I think Keanu could tackle whatever people gave him, honestly. I have too much faith in Keanu. Yeah. But all these people are almost Wolverine.
Yeah.
I'm clicking to see if I'm right about... I don't know about that one.
Johnny Depp. That's my first time hearing about that one.
Yeah, me too. Okay. I don't recognize him, do you?
What's the name?
Gary Sinise. Something of the sort.
No, I'm not really familiar with him.
Yeah. Whatever. Mel Gibson, there he is on the list. Okay, cool. I'm just loading up one of the random lists of people that did it.
Yeah.
I don't know about that one either.
Yeah.
Anyways,
I think
that's plenty.
Yeah.
We talked about a lot. Nope, that's the last of it. Okay.
But so this is definitely one of my favorite X-Men movies, and as far as the trilogy goes, it's definitely my favorite of the trilogy. Once again, X2 was really fun. Had a lot of good action. I love the opening in X2 with Nightcrawler. That was some amazing shit. However, just the William Stryker Wolverine stuff, it was more like Wolverine and Friends versus Stryker.
Basically, yeah.
So it didn't seem nearly as involved.
Kind of like the inspiration behind that one really short running cartoon series, Wolverine and the X-Men.
Yeah.
That one, even at that young age, being a big Wolverine fan, I was even like, well, this is a little much, guys.
Right.
We're really jumping on the fan boat here.
Right. Yeah, he was. And the thing of it is that just going back to X1, this movie was so popular with the fan base that saw it, and it really did begin a new phase for the X-Men. But not just from the media aspect, but also from a canonical aspect, because shortly after this movie we got Grant Morrison's run on the X-Men, where we had the black leather suits and all that in the comic books.
Yeah. So, that's not the Ultimate Series, is it? No. Which series was that? Do you remember?
Grant Morrison, yeah, he's was just it was the all new X-Men came out in the early 2000s.
Yeah.
But no, so I guess we can go ahead and get into it.
Yeah, let's do it, man. Yeah. Talk about the movie.
So the very beginning, the movie opens up. We see this kind of super 2000s digitalized background of a DNA sequence, And Professor X, he's explaining the process of evolution. And, it's so fun watching this movie now with the mindset to podcast about it, because you start paying attention and picking up on things that maybe you otherwise would just sit back and absorb.
Exactly. Things you wouldn't recognize as a kid.
Yeah. Or as a grown man.
Yeah.
But no, it was really interesting hearing him talk about it, because this was actually a really good explanation, really good and quick exposition almost as to what mutants are and why they're a thing now. Just as saying that, so after, millions of years of evolution, man has evolved from a single set of organism into what we are now, and we're still evolving, and that's what the Homo superior are, as Eric would say, or that's what the mutants are. The mutant gene is a further evolution. It's what Professor X is explaining in so many words. And, it got me thinking, like, when are we due for, like, another genetic upgrade? Because we can't be done yet. Just because, well, a lot of scientists and archaeologists say that, we can't be done evolving yet, just because our backs are fucked up as humans, because we're used to almost walking on all fours just a couple 100,000 years ago. That's a couple million years ago. No, a couple 100,000 years ago. It's like pre-man, and then like our knees and our joints, they're not fully evolved either, because we've only been standing upright for so many thousands of years.
It's an interesting thought, definitely.
Yeah.
And we'll see. There's definitely been some cool things that you can see in like news and secret videos of like people who are just more capable.
Yeah.
Be that through practice or through proper genetics and practice. So it's there's a rabbit trail there. There's a lot you can look into.
Right. Yeah. So after that brief explanation of mutation, we go to Poland in 1944 at what is obviously a concentration camp.
Freaking Nazis.
Yep. Didn't look like a very nice place. And we see this young boy amongst a crowd of people, and he's being separated from his parents, specifically his mother. And as the gate closes, and the guards are taking this boy away, this boy is willing himself towards his mother, and the gate between he and his mother is beginning to crack, crumble, and then bend and twist. And these are like iron steel bars, and they're just crumbling and twisting. And eventually, this young boy, he's knocked out by one of the other guards, hit in the face with the butt of the gun. And they're looking at astonishment at what this boy's done. Because surely they haven't seen anything like this ever.
Right, yeah. I mean, damn.
Yeah.
They're jealous.
Yeah. Now, I don't want to go too deep inside that rabbit hole, but I am anyway. Now, we know, at least from the comics at least, and maybe it is more further explained in the comics that I just haven't read or need to reread.
Sure.
But we know that Namor is labeled as being the very first mutant ever. But of course, that technically isn't true, because N'Saba Noor is technically the first mutant, Apocalypse.
Right, yeah. I think they went back and made that canonical.
Yeah, he would definitely predate Namor by quite a few years. Couple 100 years, maybe a couple thousand years, actually.
Sure.
Yeah, a couple thousand years during the time of like the Egyptian pyramids.
Right, yeah. And like before there were 4 digits in the year count BC.
Yeah.
Right.
and so that got me thinking, like, how many mutants have there been between then and like 1944? I mean, because I know that, these genetic uprisings or whatever and the DNA can't be all that common, but surely there's been more than just, surely it was more than just Apocalypse, then Namor thousands of years later, and then,
That's a curious thought. That's a fair question. I don't know.
Yeah, just a thought. Yeah. Maybe some mutants came and went and no one ever noticed, or maybe there are mutants that, were just so low key, that they just went unnoticed.
Yeah. Who knows? Maybe some of them weren't even like super powered full blown mutants, because maybe they were, mutants that could make water splash a certain way when they put their hand in water.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, it's like, that's so small. They don't notice it. I mean, they think it's different, but it's not like, oh, I'm a super powered other being type thought. They're just like, oh, whatever, that's weird. As we try to explain the thoughts of history.
Fictional history at that.
Exactly, even better.
Yeah. And so the next scene we get here in the movie is we're taking to the not too distant future. That's literally what they call it, the not too distant future. And we're taken to Meridian, Mississippi, and we're taken to this nice southern home, and then we're introduced to Marie for the first time, and we'll all get more accustomed with her throughout the movie. And don't know what the parents are thinking is going on upstairs in this bedroom, but
I know, right?
yeah.
You can tell there are some 90s vibes in this movie still, you know? Like, that sounded more like a Dawson's Creek thing. Like, oh, let the kids upstairs. It's cool. You know?
I don't know. I don't know a damn thing about Dawson's Creek.
Oh.
But no, anyways, she's upstairs with presumably her boyfriend or a friend that is definitely a boy. And she's talking to him about going to Anchorage, Alaska someday. She said maybe at the high school, maybe at the college. It's just talk. Don't really know why. I was trying to piece together something as to why they would be talking about this specific place. Only thing I can think of is that she does go to she goes to Canada shortly hereafter, but that's the closest connection. Yeah. But anyways, they have a kiss, and after the small smooch, the boy begins to convulse and goes into like a comatose state. Marie screams in sheer horror. The parents run upstairs. We're not certain if these are her parents or his parents. And I was trying to see in the movie, like, you know, if they explicitly tell us. I don't think they do though.
I don't know. I'm guessing they were his parents, because what would you be more afraid of there? You know, like, oh, piss, I just put your son on the floor, or oh, guys, hey, I'm sorry, I just put this guy on the floor. I don't know. But that's me, like, digging into it, so whatever. You know, putting info into the movie.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know, because I think, like, if I were a parent and then I went upstairs and I see that, like, I see my daughter in the corner and then I see her boyfriend convulsing on the bed, I would be like, oh shit, I hope that this boy doesn't die like in my house.
I know, right? How much E did you give him? Come on.
Did you take from my stash? He'll be okay. He's just tripping balls right now.
We're going to drop him off at the hospital. We're not going in, so stay in the car.
How many mushroom caps did you take? How many?
We'd be great parents. Your family's just going to be amazing one day. Oh, yes.
Oh, shit. But no, so after this, we're taken to a hearing, some kind of big political hearing. There's a lot of political figures here, a lot of world leaders. And Jean Grey is speaking. And the hearing is about, she's trying to dismiss the Mutant Registration Act. And she's explaining is explicitly why it's kind of a shitty thing to do. And she's bringing up some good points and good arguments. But of course, there is Senator Robert Kelly, who was there, who functions honestly as like another antagonist in this movie. Some could call him the true antagonist. Who, I mean, it all depends. Yeah. Because technically Magneto would do nothing in this movie if Senator Kelly wasn't trying to pass this Mutant Registration Act.
Within the scopes of the movie, I definitely agree. You know, because we know and understand the comics well enough, I don't think that's entirely the case. But because of the plot and the world of the movie, in which the only thing that we need to really care about in this case, you know, then I agree. Right. Magneto would have been like, "Hey, let's go play chess, Charles." All right, cool, bro. Let's go. Let's go to that park. Yeah.
But I really love the dialogue here. You know, in this movie, specifically this very first X-Men movie, Bryan Singer is able to get away with some things that other movies won't be able to get away with. He's able to get away with making exposition the same thing as his dialogue because it works in this sense. It works, you know, trying to explain what a mutant is, both to the audience and to the, you know, the actual people in the movie, because they don't really have a strong grasp on it, and maybe the viewers of the movie don't either. And, you know, it's also good trying to make those, you know, those correlations between, and let the audience decide, are the mutants good, are the mutants bad? And, it's great that they don't explicitly tell us because, mankind is neither all good or bad.
Also, yes.
Yeah.
This is true.
Yeah, but I really love the argument here that they're having. And Senator Kelly in this movie especially, he's really charming, and he's a really good speaker, and he's able to get the people behind him. What he's really doing is no disrespect to anyone out there who falls in this circle, but he really is like a lot of those old school evangelical televangelists almost, because he's doing a lot of fear mongering, a lot of fear preaching. There's a little girl that can walk through walls. What's stopping her from walking inside your house? There's people that can read your mind. You can't even keep your thoughts safe anymore.
He's using great tactics here in order to scare the people, which, politician. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right. I guess my thing is that, we look at the X-Men as a work of fiction, but like we've said before, I think it's really easy for that type of mentality to slip into reality because it kind of has.
Oh, yeah.
Like, for example, if mutants did exist, I could see a lot of people that I know, probably a lot of people that you know, that would be all about Senator Kelly's Mutant Registration Act.
Yeah, no, for sure. It'd be way too easy. Mm-hmm. And, the opinions, there would be a lot of black and white ones, and that's the scary thing,
That's the scary thing, yeah.
And to think how many other people would actually be on Magneto's side of things. Like, nah, man, I'm a mutant. Yeah, we need to take out the humans, Screw you guys. We're the cool, better humans. Homo superior.
All right.
So I think it wouldn't help the case. We don't need something else to fight about, Yeah. We do fine with what we have.
Right, yeah. But no, it just does bring up an interesting topic because, like you said, it's not black and white. It really does come down to almost what Charles wants, which is a peaceful union between man and mutant. But, we got to be honest. Eric is right in the sense that Charles is naive to think that such an existence could happen. Man and mutant can never coexist together. There will always be that conflict. And
I don't want to call it naivety because that almost colors most of the opinion. I do want to say that Charles is hopeful, and it's not wrong to be hopeful. It's
not wrong to be hopeful.
Right.
If you're not looking at the hard facts, then you're being a little naive.
I don't know. I think at the same time, and I'm not trying to make this like we're choosing sides here, people, but at the same time, I do want to stand for both sides. Yes, Eric has a lot of obviously piling up evidence, and Senator Kelly's not helping the case any, but I think Charles has a good and righteous idea of saying, wait a minute, let's help them. Let's show them that we can be good. Let's show them that we don't have to be opposed, And I really don't see anything wrong with that. Now, is it hopeful? Yes. Is it far-fetched? Also, yes. Is it going to be hard as hell to do? Yes. Is it impossible? By definition, no.
Yeah, no. It is definitely not impossible. And once again, I'm not arguing any side point here, but I'm just more playing devil's advocate for the sake of it. But
I can tell.
It really is at this point, like, let's say that from Magneto's perspective, he goes, okay, Charles, let's play it your way. Meanwhile, the humans are killing our people on a daily basis. Is this still okay with you?
But then what's the opposite side? Do you become a killer? Do you become the one who says, well, no, and takes lives?
And see, and
there's too many sides to it.
Yeah. And that's where that divide comes down to, and I think that I'm more amped up about this now because I've recently finished the game Detroit Become Human, which is like a similar debate, but of course with different, it's not mutants. Replace mutants with sentient androids, and plus I've been watching a shitload of Westworld, so like,
you're way too amped up for this.
Oh yeah. Way too
much. Way too much fuel in the tank.
I do.
You need to burn some of it, man.
And then I watched this movie earlier today. Yeah.
Go watch SpongeBob.
Oh, man. But no, it really does make for like a great debate that I hope that all the homies out there listening, think about. Because,
talk about it with someone close to you, especially someone who has an opposing opinion because you'd be surprised what comes to light.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like for example, I am totally Team Magneto now. Really,
Well, we're done.
Done. Team Brotherhood for life.
Anyways, I'm gonna give you a little pin.
Yeah.
You're gonna wear it on your shirt.
But no. So after the hearing, which does not go well for the mutants, Professor X looks off in the distance and he sees Eric walking away, and Charles, he goes to catch up with him and they have a talk. And I wrote some things down that they said that was pretty interesting to me. Of course, they have the whole, talk about with Professor X saying, why are you here? And then Magneto saying, why do you ask questions to which you already know the answer to? And then, Professor X responds with, well, I have hope for, for humankind. I think that they can come around to see our way. And then, of course, Magneto's not really having any of that because Magneto, I realized finally through this watch through that the reason why Magneto is even more amped up about Senator Kelly probably versus other people in the past is because Senator Kelly is essentially trying to create more concentration camps, and Magneto alludes to the fact that he lived through that in this scene.
Yep.
And he's like, do you want our people to go through that again? Do you haven't been through that, but I have. So it's really cool. And at one point, it's funny because Professor X says mankind has evolved, and Magneto responds with, yes, Charles, they've evolved into us. Meaning that mankind is done. It's no longer about Homo sapiens, it's about Homo superior. That race, that genetic species is coming to an end, and now it's time, it's a new upbringing. And that's kind of where they end their meeting at there, and I really love that scene.
Yeah.
A lot of good stuff there.
A lot of power.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. They're doing a good job, Patrick and Ian, of bringing to screen, the symbolism which was ever present in the X-Men comics,
right.
Especially in its origin. But anyways, you were about to say.
The next scene here takes us back to Rogue, or Marie. She's hitchhiking, and she catches a ride to a place called Lotham City. I don't even know if this is a real place. I just know that Lotham City is supposedly somewhere in Canada. That's Canada.
Which, impressive job if she went from Mississippi to Canada.
Right.
What? Okay.
Yeah, like this 16, 17-year-old girl.
She must have been really desperate in between the panels here when we weren't watching her, and read some obscure articles or something and learned maybe that there's this dude up north who's kind of weird and different, and I'm wondering why she decided Canada.
My guess would probably be that, and once again, I guess I'm kind of writing for the movie here, which I don't mean to do.
Yeah, I was about to say.
But my guess is that
I think I know what you're about to say.
She knew that this registration act was probably going to be passed. Canada doesn't have the same laws in effect.
Not what I thought you were about to say. But earlier we heard her talking about Alaska with her boo. Now she's going up north. Maybe she just wanted to live in a colder environment, and thus going through Canada to get to Alaska, maybe. Who knows? Yeah. Maybe that was just her actual in-game goal, but got stopped here and obviously deterred.
No.
I don't know. So we're putting great information into the movie,
Right.
Yeah. Feel free to use it, I guess.
Yeah.
Mr. Singer.
And so she enters a bar, a really rough-looking bar. I mean, this is the type of bar that you walk into and expect a bar fight to happen right in front of you.
This is the Rusty Nail.
Yeah, right. The salty spittoon.
There it is. Yep.
None of this Weenie Hut Jr. shit in here.
Exactly. Full of nails for breakfast.
That's right. With no milk. Anyways,
we really do love SpongeBob.
We do a little too much.
A little much. It's good.
This bar is so roughneck that there's a goddamn UFC cage in the middle of this bar.
Yep.
I mean, hot damn! How much more intense can you get? You really do have to have a badass ID card to get into a bar like this.
Yep. And
of course, we see this guy in the corner. If you want to call it a corner, in one section of the
right
cage.
In the corner of a hexagon.
Yeah. And he just got done beating up someone. He just won a cage fight, and he's gearing up to fight again, and the announcer brings in another guy and introduces them both, and introduces the one guy, and then introduces the Wolverine, undefeated, blah blah blah, and it's funny because right before this little cage fight starts, the ring announcer leans in to the challenger, to this other guy, and he says, "All right, just whatever you do, don't hit him below the belt." And the guy goes, "I thought you said that anything goes here." Yeah, anything does go, but he really won't like it. And so I thought that was pretty funny.
Yeah.
And then the fight happens, and like it's so obvious that Wolverine is not throwing the fight, but he's making it look like it's a challenge. Taking a couple punches.
It looked like he was more interested in the drink. Yeah, because he had the shot there too. Yeah.
Did he?
I thought so. Yeah.
I don't remember that. I know
he had something. Yeah.
He had a drink afterwards, but
Okay.
he was just kind of soaking in the corner. But no, so he's taking a couple shots from this guy, and then he starts to fight back, and then he just takes down the guy easily. So it's not much of a fight at all.
Yep.
But no, so he wins again, and then after he wins, he goes and he sits at the bar, and he gets a drink. Rogue is there next to him. She's kind of looking at him, kind of weird. And on the TV, they're playing information about the hearing about the Mutant Registration Act, and how in a couple days or a week or however long, there's going to be a gala with the world leaders on Ellis Island to pass that Registration Act. And
how to advertise a bad idea.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's at this point where Wolverine, he's a little uncomfortable with what he's seeing on TV. So, he's not really feeling that. And I think that Marie notices that Wolverine's feeling uncomfortable with that. The guy that just got his ass whooped in the cage comes up to Wolverine and goes, "Hey, you owe me money. No man can take a beating like that and not have a scar to show for it." The man puts his hand on Wolverine. Wolverine pops the claws for the first time in the movie, backs the guy up to the wall. The barkeep holds up a shotgun to Wolverine's head and says, "You need to get the hell out of my bar, my fine establishment."
Super fine.
Yeah. Wolverine pops the claws in his left hand, and he just completely destroys that shotgun.
Of course.
Before leaving. And yeah.
The first shotgun he destroyed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what do you think about this opening scene with Wolverine here?
Dude, I loved it, man. This was one of the opening scenes that hooked me onto this hero, this personage, this fighter in childhood, Watching this movie back when I was 10, when it first came out, watching him pop the claws and doing that crazy stuff, I was instantly hooked. Like, even as a kid, just, oh, this guy's cool.
Yeah.
What you gonna do next, cool guy? Just amped up on the edge of the seat, like, Dad, shut up, I gotta watch this guy. That's not true, Dad. But no, absolutely loved it. Thought it was a great intro for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So as he's riding down the road, I still don't understand, after over a dozen times of seeing this movie, don't understand how, but he notices that there's something going on with his trailer. So he pulls over on the snowy road embankment, gets out, goes to the back of the trailer, and pokes around, and he finds Rogue back there.
Hey, animal senses, man. Those keen senses.
No. The reason I call bullshit on this scene in particular is that we as an audience are able to somehow visualize his senses at work here, but not for this scene. So yeah. But.
Oh wait, even better. I do know that when you're towing, you can feel the weight. Like you feel how heavy the load is behind you. It's tugging the truck itself. So if it was heavier. This is why I'm bullshitting. But if it was heavier, you would feel that too. You'd feel more pull. Like, wait, what the hell just happened to my load? Why is it bigger now, But I'm not sure if Marie had enough weight to make it that much heavier. Right. Yeah. So, weak attempt at defense. Either way, let's keep going.
Right.
Yeah.
So, he eventually and reluctantly lets her hitch a ride. He lets her inside the cab. She's trying to make conversation with Wolverine. He's not really having it. Eventually, they make small talk, about her being a mutant, him being a mutant. He tells her his name is Wolverine, or his name is Logan. She tells him her name is Ashley Marie. And then right as they're talking, she says, you should really put on your seatbelt. And Wolverine says, listen, kid, you don't have to tell me to put on. And then he is ejected from his from the vehicle and flown through a window because a tree, quote unquote, fell over on the RV that he was driving, launching Wolverine from the vehicle into the snowy road ahead of him. And then he gets up, obviously concussed, but he's healing from it. Head gashed wide open.
Of course.
Marie sees that gash heal, and she's like, "Oh, this guy can do more than just pop claws." And he asks if she's okay. She says that she's stuck, and then the back of the RV is now catching fire. So shitty, pretty shitty situation.
Oh yeah, very much so. Yeah.
So as Wolverine is heading over to free Marie from the RV, he smells something. We see him smell something.
Yeah, that's true. Yep. This is true. We see the.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then he pops his claws, looks around, and he gets ambushed by Sabretooth. Sabretooth definitely gets the upper hand on him here. Wolverine doesn't have shit for him.
Yeah. And this part I thought was a little, at this part I think they took some liberties a little too far.
Really?
Because one, Sabretooth. The look, I'm cool with that. That was a good look for Sabretooth. I like that look more so than
the one we got in Origins.
Exactly. Yeah. That one was like, okay, you're going a little too hard for classy here, He wasn't classy, damn it. But he was big, and he was powerful, and he was rigid and rough. And that's what this guy looked like.
Oh, yeah.
But I didn't like the mindless minion chump that he kind of was. Like, he wasn't that aggressive, overly cocky, obviously on par with Wolverine rivalhood that we see from the comics, So at that point, the relationship here was, like, not given to us at all.
No, you're right. Yeah, he was just a henchman. He was like the right-hand man.
Exactly. I don't even remember anything memorable that he said.
He really didn't have any kind of strong lines here. No.
Yeah.
No. But that didn't. I do agree with you. Like, the whole character of Sabretooth was really askewed, not what it should have been.
Right.
But I didn't see a problem with this scene though, with him whooping Wolverine's ass.
Well, no, I didn't have a problem with that because Sabretooth has on multiple occasions come and beaten up Wolverine's ass. In fact, every year on Logan's birthday, Sabretooth comes and puts that ass on him. And just beats him. No, damn it. I said it earlier, and I accidentally said it, and I'm owning it. That was just an inside joke, guys. But no, he definitely, kicks his ass. But pulling back from that, the thing I don't like about this isn't necessarily how, I'm borrowing your terminology here, how skewed he was. And that's being polite.
Yeah.
But it was the fact that they didn't get the relationship at all. It was like Logan met him for the first time in this scene.
Right.
And this wasn't like
a bigger deal.
A prominent brotherhood / rivalhood that was going on. Like oh shit, my equal is here. No, it was instead, oh, who's this hairy chump? So, potato, but to me, that made me a little, oh, okay, whatever.
Yeah. I guess I can kind of see that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess for this being their first meeting, I really don't know how you make it super impactful. How you make it like, I don't know how you start a rivalry with it being their first meeting, but I do see your point. Luckily for both Logan and Marie, Cyclops and Storm show up, and they that causes Sabretooth is like, oh nope, enough of this shit, and he flees the scene, and they promptly rescue Wolverine and Rogue before the RV explodes.
I was about to say, Storm had environmental just benefit on this. Like, this was her stage. Like, oh, there's ice and snow everywhere. What can I do with this?
Right. Yep. And
Sabretooth sickle. Yeah.
Saber sickle. Next thing we get here is Logan. He awakens in the X Mansion in the sub-basement area where all the real shit goes down. And Jean Grey is, I guess, trying to, doctor him. And Wolverine suddenly awakens, grabs her by the throat, and then he flees the scene. He's hearing voices in his head. He is literally running around the mansion. Eventually, like, the voices that he's hearing in his head lead him upstairs to the main floor of the mansion, and he's ducking away and hiding, and he's eventually taken to to Professor Xavier's lecture hall, his lecture room. Just as class is letting out, he's teaching physics. And,
that was a smart move, by the way, of Xavier, for one, to immediately grab hold of the situation like that, and two, to bring him on purpose to a room full of other students, the children, you know? Like, calm the ass down. Look at these kids. You're going to do something in front of them? Come on, man.
Right.
No one's like that.
Exactly. Like, these are little childrens, okay?
Exactly.
Little childrens.
Don't cut me up in front of them.
Or don't make me shit you down in front of them.
Basically, because Xavier would stop Wolverine.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sorry, but every day of the week, doom.
Yeah. Just hit the off button on his brain. Yeah.
Exactly. Would he, though? Anyways.
He'd turn it back on. But
oh, yeah, he wouldn't kill him.
Right.
Yeah.
But what's interesting is that we see three prominent students. We see, of course, Bobby Drake, a.k.a. Iceman. We see Kitty Pryde, the non-Ellen Page version.
Yeah.
And we also see Jubilee, who is unnamed, but is obviously Jubilee. Yep. And we do see them. So it's just funny looking at this scene now and then thinking about how before Apocalypse came out, there were so many complaints about Jubilee not being in the movies, when in actuality, Jubilee is indeed in X1.
Just not giving much attention. Yeah.
Not at all. Like if you're not paying attention, then you won't even know.
Right.
Like, yeah.
She was a well-placed background.
Mm-hmm. Yep. She's in 2 scenes. Yep. This scene and one other scene.
It's also kind of funny how 3 of the X-Men Wolverine had a great relationship on a fatherly level with. We're all in this scene, you know. Rogue, Kitty,
Rogue wasn't in this scene.
Oh, never mind then. I'm filling in gaps. Yeah.
Logan is talking to Charles, and then the other members of the team show up: Storm and Cyclops and Jean Grey, and it's funny because once again we get the exposition inside of the dialogue, but it works because, you know, for the sake of the movie, it's when Professor X is explaining to Wolverine who they are. You know, we're the X-Men. I'm Professor Xavier. You know, this is Cyclops and Storm, Jean Grey, and you were attacked by
Wheels.
Yeah, you were attacked by a mutant named Sabretooth who was working with Magneto for such and such purposes we don't know yet. Just giving them all the cold hard facts, and of course it sounds ridiculous, and Wolverine calls him out on that. And like you said, you know, it says, "Oh, you're Storm," where they call you Wheels. That's the whole line.
Yep.
And then he goes to step out of the way and leave the room, but Cyclops is standing in front of him. And this is like the first confrontation that we get between those two characters here. And of course, Cyclops is played by James Marsden. And
I was about to say, go ahead, man.
I think that James Marsden was a fantastic choice for the part.
Oh, yeah, he very much was. Yeah.
I always have. I just wish that he was given more to do.
Yeah, no, same here, because he carried that role really well, you know.
For what he was given.
Exactly.
Like,
I wish we saw more, even in movies, or other movies past, movies after X-Men. That was harder to say than it should have been.
Right.
But, yeah,
it's really sad, because, like, it especially shown in this movie, watching it again, just how little he had to do. But honestly, it's not just him. It's all the X-Men except Wolverine.
Yeah.
Like, Professor X and Wolverine have the most to do in that team. But Cyclops, Storm, Jean Grey, I mean, they're just kind of there.
And you even got Halle Berry for this.
Yeah.
Like, what are you guys doing?
Right.
You know?
And, you know, Halle Berry, man, as great of an actress as I think she is, she was just kind of phoning it in this movie, man. Watching it again, man, she was really one note. Like, didn't really turn it up a notch. I don't know if it's because she was bored. It's because her character didn't have much to do. Maybe she wasn't given much to work with.
I'm choosing option B.
Yeah.
Or B and C.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. A combination. Yep.
Right. But, so that's kind of what I noticed about them from this scene and the rest of the movie on.
Yeah.
But no, so let's see. So the next thing we get here is the note that I have here is possibly our first timeline error in the X-Men verse. So to calm Wolverine down, Professor X communicates with Wolverine saying, "It's been about 15 years, hasn't it? 15 years since you've been on the run. Since you realized that you don't remember your past." So I'm like, okay, 15 years. They have not canonically kept up with that in the terms of the movies at all.
A lot of the directors don't really respect it, you know? And it's not like they do it on purpose, but I think they do, you know? Just because we see, like, timeline errors. I'm trying to remember a great example here. I think in Homecoming there was one, if I remember correctly.
At the very beginning, that was actually a mistake that they came out and admitted. Yeah, we made a mistake.
Oh, okay, yeah, never mind. But
I will say this though, like the First Class trilogy, like that soon to be a quadrilogy with Dark Phoenix coming out, but that whole thing is like a continuity. What the fuck? Because
true. Because then we technically get child versions who witness Wolverine, and then that's a good point too.
Yeah.
Who directed that one? First Class.
I believe what's his name, Kevin Bond, Steve Bond. Well, whichever Bond directed the Kingsman, Matthew Vaughn.
Okay.
He did First Class, and Bryan Singer did Days of Future Past and Apocalypse.
That's interesting now. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, he just kind of said whatever. Yeah. We're putting this in here.
Right. But what always got me about that trilogy is just that the First Class takes place in the 60s.
Yes.
Days of Future Past takes place in the 70s.
Yes.
Apocalypse takes place in the 80s.
Okay.
So that's 30 years. Look at James McAvoy and tell me that it's been 30 years since First Class.
Well, shit. When you're right, you're right. That takes a lot of movie watching to find, because I have never even thought about coming across that. That's funny. I like that.
I thought it was pretty funny too. I guess it's just a mutant gene.
Yeah, I mean.
The next thing we get here is Senator Kelly. He's getting into a helicopter. And what I noticed about this scene is that he's being treated like a rock star by all these bigots. There's people with signs cheering for him, chanting his name. He gets on the helicopter and he's flying away. And he has, I guess, his attendee or his secretary or whatever with him on the helicopter. And they're talking about the Mutant Registration Act. It's really good dialogue here also, pertaining to the dialogue. Because as much of a piece of shit Senator Kelly is, he doesn't have completely invalid arguments, saying that the mutants could possibly be a threat. He doesn't view them as people. He says he views them as what they are. He views them as weapons that need to be shut down.
They kind of took a couple of good ideas here from the graphic novel we spoke of weeks past. God Loves, Man Kills.
Right. With William Stryker in the game. Yeah.
They kind of copy and paste the role a little bit almost, and they do so well though. In this case, it supports the movie.
You're right. And it's interesting looking at, like, if you take even just the movie versions of Senator Kelly, William Stryker, and Bolivar Trask. Like, those are three men of great power in general.
Right.
And there are three men who feel like the mutants should really be eradicated, like coming at it from three different angles. And like, that is scary, because if you look at that too literally, then it really goes to show that that a lot of times, like, a lot of the greatest evil lies within positions of power. And so I thought that was just kind of interesting.
There is a lot we could say about that now, but I'm just warning you, this is that moment, man. We could pivot right now. We could change the title of this podcast.
Right. But I'm going to stick with the movie here, okay?
We're not pivoting.
I'm going to steer clear from that right now.
We're sticking on the appropriate side, of the road.
Right. But no, I do understand kind of what he's saying, in the sense that mutants are dangerous, but hell, in that in that sense, everyone is dangerous.
Yeah.
In that sense, everybody that owns a car is dangerous.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't just lock up, you can't lock up an entire species of people and call it justice.
No.
But no, so it's at this point where he realizes that he is not with his associate. His associate transforms into Mystique. We get our first look at her. And Rebecca, I can never pronounce her second name, Stamos.
Wait.
It's like Rebecca
Romijn. Rummage.
Rebecca Stamos, as I would be calling her throughout the rest of this podcast.
Stamos, yeah. Rebecca Stamos. Good enough for me. I liked it.
Yep. But no, we got our first look at her, and I actually really enjoy her Mystique. And I do find this version of Mystique to be more canonically correct than the First Class trilogy.
Amen to that. Press the green celebration button. Confetti just popped out. Yep. That's totally not even debatable.
Yeah. It is what it is,
Plus, kudos to Rebecca, because in this time frame with the movie tech that we have and whatnot at our disposal in the 2000s, that was makeup.
Yeah.
That was just a shitload and hours of makeup.
Yeah, hours and hours of makeup.
Yeah.
Jennifer Lawrence, she did that for First Class. I don't think she did it for Apocalypse or Days of Future Past.
Everything else was computer.
She said that she wore a suit in computer generation. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, just sitting for hours and hours in that chair, good grief.
Unmoving, too.
Yeah.
Like, you get breaks, I'm sure, but it's like, what can you do on your break? You can't move the arm that much. You're still blue.
Exactly.
Yeah.
If I were her, I'd be like, please, can we just film all my scenes in one day?
Give me pants, people. Oh, yeah, I would have just asked for pants.
Right. Well, and she's completely naked. Like, what we're seeing should technically be rated R because this woman is completely naked. I mean, this entire movie.
She had, like, a skin suit, I'm sure.
No.
Like, she was
naked.
just...
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So was Jennifer Lawrence, though, for First Class.
Damn.
Yeah. But no, we get her, and she has a line here that's really cool. She goes... it's because of people like you that made me afraid to go to school as a little girl. Before she literally knocks him out with her feet.
Which she is super agile with her feet.
She is.
Yeah.
She's really good. Yeah.
I don't remember her being that agile like that in the comics, but I've never read and paid attention to a lot of Mystique comics either.
No, she's pretty damn skilled like that.
I thought, okay.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Like some shit I don't know about. Like there's one part later on we're getting a little bit when she's fighting Wolverine and she's climbing up this wall upside down, like shimmying upside down up a wall.
Yeah, that was a little much.
I was like, shit.
Like, how have you practiced this? But it's a vertical slope too. It
wasn't too far fetched for me to be like, wait a minute, but it was. It was fun. But anyways, no. So they kidnap Senator Kelly, and of course he's taken back to the Brotherhood HQ, which we're never really told exactly where that is.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. But then there's a brief break in there. Actually, no, there's not a brief break. I lied. So Senator Kelly, he meets the Brotherhood and he meets Magneto, and long story short, Magneto, he uses this machine to create the X gene within Senator Kelly. And there's some there's some really fun and good dialogue here. Mm-hmm. And, I think that maybe if you're not a big comic reader, then some of this dialogue might come off as hokey. And I get that. But if you read comic books a lot, then you're really accustomed to that type of dialogue. And it comes off as as clearer or more suitable. But Magneto uses this whole God analogy when he's speaking to Senator Kelly. Senator Kelly says something like oh my God, and Magneto's like, God, no. Well, I don't know why people call on God as a fearful man. I view God as a teacher and this and that. And he goes, my problem with God is that he works too slowly. And then that's when he unveils the machine that he uses to transport him or to change him to a mutant, essentially. So I don't know how he created this machine.
Yeah.
But I suppose that really isn't important in the sense of the movie.
Right. Because it's interesting. He uses his magnetic powers to power this machine to cause radiation.
Right.
To alter, literally, the genetic makeup of Senator Kelly.
Right.
So I'm not sure how that transfers over from magnetism and gravity almost to radiation.
I think it's just what you said, though. He uses his powers of magnetism to power it. I don't think that his power is
the source.
Yeah.
Okay. It's literally the electricity for the machine.
Right. Yeah.
That's cool
That's
too.
kind of what I got from it.
But then how do you build a machine that can do that? Should we be careful with our x-rays in hospitals? No, I'm joking, but yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like, once again, to me, this didn't bother me as much because in comic books, they come up with shit all the time. And if you stop and question, the validity of this, then like you kind of ruining the comic for yourself.
Exactly.
Because you're not going to get an answer.
Kind of like whenever you debate whether or not that should have been a Doombot or a Nick Fury clone or something.
Right. Yeah. But no, so we see that this machine that Magneto uses takes a lot of energy out of him, and like he almost falls faint because he's so weak after using it, and that's on just one person. But as she's walking away from Senator Kelly, he says, "You don't have to fear God, and you don't have to fear me. At least not anymore. You don't." Insinuating that hey, you're one of us now.
Welcome to the club.
Yeah. Let me ask you this, Kevin. So at this point, I mean, this movie's 18 years old. We all know the overarching plot of this movie.
Right.
Magneto wants to use this device to change the world leaders all into mutants because, if they're all mutants, how can they pass this Mutant Registration Act?
Sure.
They will see the error of their ways, and I get that.
Okay, sure.
Let me ask you this though. Let's say that this machine didn't have the fatal flaw in it, in the sense that it kills them eventually. Spoiler alert, people. Senator Kelly, he dies.
Right, like he melts away.
Yeah, the machine doesn't fully work.
But that's the question though, or is that what you're asking?
Oh, no,
are you asking?
I was going to ask, like, if this did work, would this be a terrible act of morality on Magneto's part? I mean, don't get me wrong, it's not a good thing because he's changing people against their will.
Right. There you go.
But this is a hell of a lot better of an alternative than killing them.
It goes back to the Ozymandias complex. And yes, I'm naming it the Ozymandias complex, as cool as that sounds and as fun as it is to say. So here's the problem there. On one side of the table, you have Magneto, who sees a problem and he sees a solution and he's acting towards said solution. Nothing's wrong with that. But it's just like you said, like I was about to say, that solution acts against the will. It doesn't give him a choice. It takes that choice. It says, oh, you're human? Boom, you changed. You're done, And all of a sudden, without their knowing, they're going to become gelatin people,
Yeah.
That's rhetorical to this question, however. But that being said, they became a mutant. Whatever their ability, whomever they become after that, wasn't what they chose. Some of them could have been like, oh, hell yeah, I can shoot fire or some bullshit,
Yeah.
But instead, it's like, wait, what did you do to me? And that is exactly why I'm saying is Ozymandias complex. He did the wrong thing for a good reason.
Right. Yeah.
There you go.
But just like the Ozymandias complex,
it's fun to say, isn't it?
Yeah, the answer will always be ambiguous.
Yeah, but I think here it's... Well, there's two sides to it. I'm going to talk about logic first and then funny second. So, logically, it's wrong still because he took the choice from them. He wasn't protecting them from themselves. He was protecting his own, which isn't entirely wrong, but he was still stealing that choice. He was unknowingly to them changing their very makeup, And on a funny level, he was doing so maybe possibly knowing that, these fools are going to melt. I know they're going to melt. I know what's happening to Senator Kelly. How do you think I knew this machine would work? Maybe he's okay with that.
Shit.
Like I said,
Oh, yeah.
logic first.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that especially for Magneto, this is definitely like the best case scenario for humankind. Just because Magneto, he's not afraid to beget violence with violence.
Nope.
So, for example, like if a bunch of humans kill mutants, Magneto would in turn kill those humans to save his mutants, to save his own people.
Right.
Because why should his people have to senselessly die because of your fear of his people?
Right.
But here, they're threatening to lock his people up, essentially take away their freedom. Magneto's response here isn't to kill them, it's to change them.
True, but not all of them are locking up mutant kind. A lot of these people just don't even give a piss.
Everyone at this gala is signing the Mutant Registration Act.
At the gala,
Yeah,
yes.
that's who he's changing.
But, yeah. I mean, at that point, you're really just arguing nuances, like, oh, each individual maybe, because some of them might have just been there for public upkeep, because my manager told me I had to be here, or I don't even really agree with this, but I'm a politician, so I have to act like I do just to sustain my power. Whatever bullshit. At that point, agreed. We're getting into nuances, but, I mean, it's still wrong, but it is a self-defense maneuver, and that helps to make it more justified.
Right.
I will say that. In my mind, I don't see anything stopping Magneto from implying this technology to larger mass areas if he so wanted, because he chose Ellis Allen, as we're going to talk about here in a second.
Yeah.
So,
well, the problem is that he couldn't because, in the sense of the movie anyway, this device was powered by Rogue, who he said would die using it. So it was like a one-shot deal. But no, I thought that was a really interesting
there is
quandary. Because because once again, like, it would be much easier for Magneto to just go through and murder all these people.
I mean, he could throw cars like no big deal. F it, just
But no, just more food for thought, guys.
Oh, definitely. I hope that this does induce deeper thought in a lot of listeners. Yeah.
Next up, Jean Grey. She's showing Logan his room where he'll be staying. She reads Logan's mind and she sees like parts of the Weapon X experiment. And it's at this point where Logan and Cyclops have another encounter. Cyclops says, "It must really burn you up that a boy like me saved your life." And Wolverine, of course, not really having that. Wolverine, he kind of retorts with, "I guess you're gonna tell me to stay away from your girl." And then Cyclops goes, "She wouldn't be my girl if I had to tell you to stay away from my girl." Which is
is true.
Yeah,
it was a good retort.
It was, yeah. And it's little encounters like this that makes me wish they had given James Marsden more to do.
Right.
Like, giving him more meat, because this is really good.
You really could have given him the same idea, the same energy, and I know this doesn't exist at that time, so it's almost why you're talking about it, Kevin, but you really could have given him the same idea of Chris Evans versus Robert Downey Jr. here, of Cap versus Iron Man, having that same, like, semi-brotherhood but rivalry at the same time, and that mixed energy.
Yeah.
That would have been fascinating here.
It would have been.
This guy can pull it off, guys.
Oh, yeah.
Cyclops is good, you know? Yeah. So, what? Shoulda, coulda, woulda.
Yeah.
That's all I got.
That's all I was going to say.
That's all I got.
I guess for me, it really sucks because at least under the Fox umbrella, I don't see us getting another opportunity at seeing Cyclops fully realized as a character.
Right.
Maybe if Disney does, in fact, get the rights back, maybe they'll do Cyclops justice. Because they almost had it here in X-Men 1. Yeah. Had they paid more attention to the character.
Agreed. Yeah.
But I just hope that if Disney gets the rights,
at this point,
I mean, honestly, guys, like it's changing every day. Like I can't even put this shit in my comic news section anymore because like the back and forth battle is changing every day. But no, so
Who's got the ball in their court presently? Disney or Comcast?
Comcast strong.
Really?
Strong.
How strong is strong?
Like saying it could close any minute now strong.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
Comcast just never mind.
Yeah.
Damn. Comcast being big. Yeah.
Right, yeah. There's talks of them maybe splitting the assets so that maybe Disney just gets what we want them to have. And then Comcast getting everything else.
And neither company's happy with that.
No.
Both of those conglomerates are just like, the hell we will,
Right.
This isn't Solomon the Wise situation where you can cut these asset babies in half.
Yeah.
You have to. Both of them are gonna be like, oh hell nah, I'm not cool with this.
Right.
You give me that baby.
Yeah.
I thought that was a good metaphor for
It
this.
was pretty good. Yeah. Yeah, I just can't believe that it could actually go that way because Disney's doing a lot of their sales in stocks and Comcast is doing all cash. But like Disney stocks is worth more than cash. I hate to say it, but it's true. Like Disney stock is only ever gonna go straight up.
Yeah.
Like no diagonal arrow, just straight up.
The only reason it stops is if this country just goes under.
Right.
And even then it's debatable because Disney has its feet everywhere.
Oh, yeah.
The sun doesn't set on the Disney empire.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's a whole nother fork we just went off on.
That's a whole other podcast right there.
There you go.
But no, let's see. Next, as it's nighttime now, and Rogue, she's having a hard time sleeping. We pan over to Wolverine. He's having nightmares. I believe that they were induced by Jean Grey accidentally.
Probably bringing it up, talking
Right.
about it. Like, what
Yeah.
the hell are you doing?
Yeah.
Or maybe he already did.
Yeah, who knows?
Who knows?
Yep.
Who knows?
But this is the first scene of many scenes in the X-Men movies where we see Wolverine having nightmares. Mm-hmm. And Rogue comes in the room, I guess, like looking for, for comfort of some sort. Just because he's the only face that she knows around this place.
Kinda. Yeah.
Yeah. And Wolverine wakes up from one of the nightmares and he immediately stabs Rogue. Straight up stabs her.
Just straight up killed her.
Yeah. Well, she's still alive.
Almost killed.
Yeah.
Practically killed.
Right. And so at this point, she's obviously in shock. Wolverine retracts his claws like, oh shit, what have I done? Oh no. And then Rogue, she's like, oh yeah? Well, fuck you. And then she reaches out and she puts her hand on his face, thus like sucking his life essence. By the way, those are her powers, but I'm sure all of you knew that.
Yeah, I guess we didn't officially declare it, but yeah, she borrows mutant powers and human memories.
And yeah, human essence, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And yeah, so she does that to Wolverine. Thus, it was a really smart move on her part.
Yeah.
Healing herself, and taking the risk that Wolverine may or may not die from it.
She took just enough. It's cool. Just a tad.
Right.
Just enough to cover 3 gaping wounds.
Yeah. But no, so Wolverine, starts to convulse and falls to the comatose state. He wakes up. Professor X is there at his bedside. Wolverine says, I thought I was going to die. And Professor X said, had she held on any longer, you would have. So there was that. When this happened, like there was a whole big commotion and like half the school seemingly ran to that bedside to see, of course they heard screaming and all that.
Well, I mean, we did hear the Wolverine scream saying no,
Right.
and he's got a notorious scream, man.
Yeah, but I think he also he screamed out, "Somebody help!"
Yeah.
After he accidentally stabbed her, and so you had like Storm and Jean and Cyclops all running, and like some of the students. Bobby Drake was there, and I'm like, what does this look like from their perspective? You have this teenage girl in a bedroom with Logan, who you don't know. You know that they were riding together. You don't know the relationship that
They knew she was 17.
They knew she was 17, which was too damn young.
Too damn young. Yeah, they never talk about that, do they? They never really...
They do a good job of avoiding it and making us avoid it.
Which is true, because at the time, I didn't give a crap. I was just
Right.
like, you killed her? Oh, no, you didn't.
Yeah.
But
Right.
I guess, I mean, why was she there? Probably not for that.
No,
but
I hope it wasn't for that.
Me too, because it's like, damn, girl, come on.
Right. I mean, even with the strongest of condoms, Wolverine would not survive that.
No.
That should be a quote.
Oh, gosh. Oh, yeah.
Even with the strongest of condoms, Wolverine could not survive that. I like it.
That's messed up. We're messed up.
Yeah, yes, we are. Oh, man. Anyways, Senator Kelly, he escapes his prison. He is hanging on the cliffside when Magneto and Sabretooth find him. Sabretooth goes to lift him up, but he slips, and Senator Kelly falls to the waters beneath. Sabretooth just straight up dropped him. Yep.
Well, not entirely his fault,
No,
because
he was
Kelly turned into like
jellyfish,
Yeah.
slippery. Yeah.
Yeah. Which I don't know if that's the point of the machine or if that was like his actual genetic
I think that was
makeup.
Yeah,
I think it might have been
because I don't think that everybody turns into jellyfish blobs. I think
right.
that
That's a horrible machine.
yeah,
That's not a mutant power machine. That's just an eradication machine.
Right.
Like you just stopped them.
yeah. I think that it creates and awakens the next gene, and then whatever it is, it's like a friggin' lottery. Like you don't know what you're gonna get. Like it's a mystery box.
Exactly, like the mutant gene is.
Yeah, exactly.
So in this case, it just happened to be something advantageous for Senator Kelly to escape and
Right.
die.
Yeah. Essentially.
You poor bastard.
Yeah. Yeah.
Glimmer of hope, and
Right.
you're done.
Yeah. Shit literally goes downhill for him.
Yep.
Like yeah. So Senator Kelly, he washes up on shore, all mutated like jellyfish blob, barely like a human state.
Yep.
People see him on the beach, like, what the hell is that? But yeah, so they show us that scene just to tell us that he is still alive.
Yeah.
Next scene, Mystique is disguised as Bobby Drake, and she convinces Rogue that she needs to run away. So, telling Marie that, hey, Professor X is furious, everybody's afraid of you, we don't know what to do, you should just get out of here.
Good job, Mystique, for playing on them fears.
Yeah.
Man.
Really
It's
good
like
job.
she's got mind-reading powers of her own. But
Yep. But no, that was a really good ploy.
there is a question I want to know.
What's up?
Yeah, okay. So Mystique, she transforms into people, mutants alike, no deal, no problems with skin, sex, voice even, you know. Powers. Where she transforms into them, she doesn't get their powers. She just gets their appearance. So, okay. That supports the movie, and that's the same in the comics. Like, when she became Wolverine in the movie, she couldn't cut through all the stuff he could.
Yeah.
Okay, just making sure.
Yeah.
Because that's a little OP then if that wasn't the case.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, like, in that case, then, that'd be like, if Rogue took Mystique's powers, then
oh my gosh.
that's like the ultimate chameleon, then.
She just became a 5-star powerhouse mutant.
Oh, yeah.
Like, she just became, like,
Right.
a walking demigod,
Yeah, because
basically.
if Rogue absorbed, like, Mystique's powers to the fullest extent, then she could go up to, like, anybody and like, absorb their powers enough so that they die, and she can essentially become that person. Because she would have all their powers and their appearance.
She'd be the perfect killer.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just one by one, going through, taking their identities in their life.
Yeah.
Ba-dum-bum. Just done.
Right.
I really want Comcast to not get these rights. Where's the Comcast HQ at? There he is. Guys, we're stopping the deal. What? Sir?
Yeah.
There you go. Just, damn.
Oh, yeah. Food for thought.
Food for thought.
Yep.
Food for thought.
Next up, Charles, he uses Cerebro to locate Rogue, and he finds her at the train station, and Logan is the first to leave to head out for her. He steals Cyclops' motorcycle to do so.
Appropriate.
Yep. When he makes it to the train station, he sits next to her, and they have a conversation here about, Wolverine doesn't know who would have told her to run away. Professor X isn't angry, doesn't know where any of that bullshit came from. And he's basically saying, hey, look, it's kind of like a heartwarming moment, at least as far as Wolverine can take it anyway.
Right.
Yeah.
Which is very familiar to who he's been in the comics for a lot of his people.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah. Like Rogue, she really does take like that Kitty Pryde Jubilee role. Mm-hmm.
Which didn't she also in the comics for a while too? It's like, I thought there was a little relation there.
There was like not like a father daughter thing like here. No, not that I've ever seen. Like he's always been like that father figure, big brother mentor to like Kitty Pryde and Jubilee later on.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Let's see. So next, Mystique, she's sabotaged the Cerebro. So she is hard at work here. Like Mystique needs a raise.
Yeah.
She's putting in the work here.
She is Magneto's #1 soldier.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And then as Storm and Cyclops go to the train station looking for Rogue, the Brotherhood show up and they assault Storm and Cyclops. They do a pretty good job at it too. And Magneto, he stops the train from taking off, and then he picks up Wolverine, tosses him aside like yesterday's trash, and he kidnaps Rogue. Mm-hmm. Yep. And it's at this point where it's realized that Magneto has not been after Wolverine, he's been after Rogue this whole time. Then on the way out, as he's leaving, he just goes right out the front door because why not? There's like a shitload of police out there everywhere, just waiting for the mutant terrorists to show up to come out.
Right.
And Magneto, he's like, okay, like,
what are you gonna shoot me with? Metal bullets?
Yeah. As a matter of fact, I don't think it was like until the third movie when they finally used like plastic and rubber against him.
I think you're right. Yeah. Wait. X2, they encased him in like a glass prison.
Well, at the end of this one, he was encased in the plastic prison.
Yeah.
But I mean, like in order to attack him, they didn't use plastic or rubber until the third.
We didn't have that scene where all the soldiers were in a warehouse. It's like, take everything metal off, your belts, your dog tags, everything. Yeah. Only plastic rounds and So
but as they are holding up their guns to him, threatening to shoot him unless he used to their commands, he picks up 2 police cars and throws them on top of 2 other police cars, like just a power play.
Yeah,
like don't screw with me, guys. It's
exactly.
been a long day. I'm old and tired. Leave me alone. I will kill you.
My blood sugar's down. Get the hell out of my way.
That's right.
He could have swept them with those cars, just like using one like a giant broom.
He could. He could have.
Get out my way.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I once again though, I think that this shows just a wee bit of humanity still in Magneto, because once again, he could have killed all these guys.
Yeah.
He could have absolutely killed them all. But instead, he shows this power play. Just
maybe
to show
he found more value in making them afraid, more so even. Like, understand this now. I could have ended you.
Yeah.
Your life was in my capable hands. You're inferior. We're superior. You're going down.
Yeah.
Some cool.
Could have been. Yeah.
Not communicated, but still communicated somehow. Actions.
Right.
Yeah.
Let's see. So Charles, he takes control of Sabretooth and Toad. I was about to say, like, where's Mystique at? But yeah, she was at the school sabotaging shit. So,
right.
Yep.
Doing what she does behind enemy lines.
Yep. But no, Professor X takes control of Sabretooth and Toad, and he's speaking through them, and then he grabs Magneto by the throat using Sabretooth. And, he's saying, let them go. They haven't done anything wrong. These men are innocent. And it's really good stuff at this point, because Magneto says, listen, if you don't stop me right here, Charles, if you don't kill me right here, right now, then I'm going to kill all of them. So the ball's in your court. You can either let me go or I kill these men. And Professor X doesn't let anyone go. He doesn't let Magneto go. And so Magneto, he takes one of the guns that he has, because he's holding up all the guns that the cops had, and he fires a bullet from one gun, And he stops it though, right at the man's forehead. And but the bullet's still spinning, so like he's letting it kind of dig into the man's head just a little bit. You know, not enough to do any kind of damage, but just to let him know.
I can't hold it for much longer, Charles.
Yeah. He tells him. Well, eventually he cocks all the guns and goes, "I don't think I can stop them all." And it's at that point where Charles, he lets go. And Professor X, replies, you know, that's why you won't win. You're not willing to make the sacrifices that are needed. And he leaves. He gets away.
Could you imagine being that cop who had the spinning bullet at his forehead?
Man.
Like, I'd be retired. I'd be in some PTSD training, like some rehab stuff there. Just like, I'm done. Take off the belt. Throw down the badge. I'm done.
Yep.
I'm going home to my family.
Yep. And you know what? Y'all can even keep these shit and piss filled underwear. I don't need these no more either.
I'm taking this car home though.
Yeah.
You guys can come pick it up from my house. I'm not driving back to the station ever.
I never want to do this again.
He's got like a bruise right here tomorrow morning. Just like, honey, we're going skydiving. We're having a 5-course breakfast. I'm going to help make it.
Yep.
We're living life.
You know, what would make it even worse if you had like a permanent scar from the bullet?
Oh, that would be worse.
Yeah.
Because then it's like the dot. And it's like, you're not bullseye. You don't need that. You know, that's just...
You can never look at yourself in the mirror again and not think of
exactly.
it. Exactly. Or the time that a mutant terrorist held your life in his hands.
You just keep buying vitamin E cream to like heal the scar one day. Yeah.
Yeah.
Man.
Oh, man. Senator Kelly, he makes it to the X-Mansion for help. He almost just falls apart in Wolverine's arms. Like, I mean, literally, not like in the metaphorical sense where he's crying. No. Yeah. Charles reads Senator Kelly's mind to figure out what happened, and then they're able to piece together the plan that, so this is what he's trying to do. He kidnapped Rogue for this purpose. Next up, Senator Kelly and Storm, they have a brief talk before he literally falls to pieces. But it's cool here because he's saying, do you fear humans? And Storm goes, yeah, actually I do sometimes. And he goes, why? No, I'm sorry, I got it backwards. He goes, do you hate humans? And she goes, sometimes I do. And then he goes, why do you hate us? And she goes, because I guess I'm afraid of you. And he replies, well, you have one less to be afraid of now. And then he melts or dissolves. Yep.
Yeah. Not bad, you know, but...
Yeah. Yeah, you know, I mean...
there's a certain niche, a certain, like, okay, you know, that was... I don't know if that's a sign of... There's too many directions I could have gone, for one, and it felt kind of weird, you know? For instance... You have one less to be afraid of now. Are you aware that this is your last sentence, you know? Are you aware that this is you going? Or two, is this you submitting, saying, oh, well, I'm a mutant now, so I'm one of you guys? Or is it like, what?
No, I've always taken this scene as like, well, I was the worst of the worst, but you don't have to be afraid of me anymore.
That's a nice way of putting it. I mean,
that's the way I've always interpreted that scene. I've always looked at it like, you know, I was a human that hated all of you mutants for kind of the same reason that you hate us. But going through this ordeal now, I kind of see your guys' plight and see what you kind of go through. You don't have to be afraid of me anymore.
Yeah, I don't know, man. You know me. I'm a classic overthinker over here. You know, I think about all that could have applied.
How do you think I come to these conclusions?
Yeah, that's true. But, I mean, there's just too many things that his last statement could have applied to. But I don't know. It was kind of like, okay.
Yeah,
it wasn't impactful for me. But there's the overall. You know, it just didn't hit home for me. Yeah.
For me, I thought this was like a good ending thing for Senator Kelly, because one, I mean, he was a dick bag. So I mean, him dying, I feel like, you know, he needed that. But also, I feel he also had a moment of clarity in his death, a moment of clarity that I kind of appreciated in him. Not him so much trying to admit himself of all his wrongdoings, but him acknowledging that and acknowledging to her that, yeah, I'm, in so many words, I'm kind of sorry. But no, so yeah, my interpretation of this scene has always been, what keeps track best with the movie, and it's always been that kind of not a redemption arc, but a realization arc for Senator Kelly.
Yeah.
So I've always kind of had a little appreciation for this scene.
Yeah.
Let's see. Professor X, he uses the Cerebro that's been sabotaged, and he is comatose from it. And next up, Jean Grey, she literally fixes it, and then she uses it to locate Rogue. Of course, she's not as powerful of a telepath, so it kind of harms her a little bit.
Yeah.
And next thing we get is the X-Men. They all suit up, and they prepare to go to Ellis Island and begin to climb up the Statue of Liberty. Now we see the X-suits here, the outfits that the X-Men are wearing here, and this is the first time that we see them in this style garb. What'd you think of their outfits here?
I thought it was okay. I thought it was cool. I thought it was easier to do something like this rather than have everyone with their individualized from the comics outfit,
Yeah.
Especially since they didn't really look perfectly like the people from the comics, Like Cyclops didn't have, the classic haircut style that he had in the comics, whereas like his then on the sides or whatever, The one where he's blue and yellow. Give me a second. I'll show you what I mean. But I was cool with it overall. Like I thought it looked good.
Right.
Especially for a new age mutant movie like this one. Then sure, yeah.
I don't know. I'm kind of a fence sitter on this argument because I do see both sides of the argument. One camp says that these outfits came out of nowhere, because at this point we've never seen the X-Men wear anything close to this, to what they're wearing in the movie. On the other hand, I do understand the argument that that there's it's easier to do what they did in the movie versus trying to do their comic book. Outfits.
Yeah. Because they did have complicated outfits,
Yeah. I mean, they did, but I think that what most people's argument is not that they didn't wear their exact outfits from the comics, it's that they didn't even try.
Okay.
And I can completely understand that. Because the black leather did come from nowhere. Where the hell did this come from?
Yeah.
You can't say it came from Grant Morrison because Grant Morrison got it from this movie. Yeah.
Yep.
But no, anyways. Once they make it to the Statue of Liberty, Logan is assaulted by Mystique, and they begin their fight. And meanwhile, it is everyone else versus Toad.
Yeah.
Everyone else versus Toad.
Yeah, Toad. No, you could take him out. Yeah, you don't need everybody against Toad.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, there's a couple things here that I want to unpack in this scene here. These two scenes.
Which way are you going to tackle it first?
First and foremost, I want to tackle it from a more broad standpoint.
Okay.
And that is, the budget for this movie sometimes really, really does show. And this is one of those spots where the budget shows, because you're thinking, all right, we got the X-Men versus the Brotherhood. But then you realize we literally only have 4 X-Men and 4 Brotherhood. That is what we have. We don't even get 5-on-5. It is 4 and 4. And it's in a perfect world, surely in this movie they have they have Blob in it to represent the Brotherhood, to even out these odds some.
Yeah.
And surely they have, take your pick for the X-Men. Nightcrawler, Colossus, Psylocke, whoever you want, fill in the blank of Gambit, surely Beast. I can keep going on. Surely they have someone else to fill in that 5th slot.
Shoot, they could have even brought up Bobby Drake already. He was in the movie.
Yeah.
Just say, hey, come on, kid, you're you're initiated. Let's go.
Right.
Yeah.
But no, it is literally just Jean Grey, Cyclops, Storm, and Wolverine for the X-Men.
Okay, I could see that. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, please show me a comic where the X-Men roster is that small. It's okay, homies. I'll wait.
But no, not really. That's a lot of quiet mic time.
Yeah.
Just dead air.
But no, my point still stands though. It's like was such a small team, and you know that was because of budget restrictions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
and-
I can see that.
Yeah, it's just unfortunate, that they couldn't get a larger ensemble. But I also thought about it from this perspective too. As much good as Bryan Singer does directing these X-Men movies, one thing he is not good at is directing multiple characters. Like he cannot lead an X-Men movie that focuses on more than one or two people.
I can see that also because I mean Wolverine's been given way too much spotlight. That's true.
Yeah. I mean, like Wolverine, like especially like for the layman who maybe isn't familiar with the X-Men that much, and he watches this movie, like Wolverine looks like the leader. Oh yeah,
Right.
this guy, he's the team leader, right?
No.
Yeah.
No. I can't think of an occasion when Wolverine was ever the actual X-Men leader. He was a leader of other groups, but not X-Men leader ever. I don't think.
There was a time or two, yeah.
There was a time?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, there was a time where like he led the school even, yeah. Yeah.
So he was principal for a while.
That's a scary ass thought. Yeah.
I know, right? Hot damn.
Yeah. And of course the other thing I had to talk about here in this scene was Storm, Jean Grey, and Cyclops all get their collective asses whooped by Toad.
Any one of them separately could have beaten Toad.
Right. Like, no disrespect to Toad, but I've never seen anything from him that could show me he can take down one, let alone 3 X-Men by
Right.
himself. Like no tricks, just straight up skill on skill. I'm not saying that Toad is a bad fighter or anything like that. It's just that going up against 3 highly trained and skilled X-Men,
Right.
no, this should have been like 20 seconds.
Like, if it was X-Men First Class and you get a bunch of the novices
I can
against
see
Toad,
that.
okay.
Yeah.
There you go. You know, he's a worthy fight then. But here, no. It's almost like Toad was de-evolved, and his mutant gene actually harmed more than helped. And this is him against, frickin' Cyclops, Storm, or Jean Grey, But, hey, they needed some filler for the movie.
They did.
Yeah, that's what we got.
And I guess here's the thing, watching the movie, I literally said to myself, I believe that the actor Ray Park could beat all 3 of these guys more so than I believe Toad could beat all 3 of these guys.
That's true. I'd give it to Park, man.
Yeah. Oh man. But no, the Wolverine and Mystique fight was really cool though.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that fight.
The tight quarters.
Yeah, tight quarters, all the cool shape shifting, the shape shifting kick she does in mid air. And I really enjoyed how this fight played out because, from a canonical standpoint, I can't argue with it. She would definitely flurry the hell out of Wolverine and frustrate his ass to no end.
Yep.
And I mean, he'd have a hard time, laying a hand on her for a good amount of time. He had to really start thinking to get the upper hand on Mystique, and that's exactly what happened. So I really enjoyed the fight here. How he had the brute strength and just the force behind him, not the Star Wars force, like the physical force. And she had speed and agility on her side. Yeah. So that was really fun.
But no one left a scar like him.
Oh yeah. There's the infamous line, of course, where Storm finally takes out Toad. Where Toad, Storm, she's caused a huge gust of wind to blow through. Toad, he's hanging on the railing of the Statue of Liberty by his tongue, and he's dangling off the edge, floating off the edge. And Storm says the line, do you know what happens when a Toad is struck by lightning? The same thing that happens to everything else. Who wrote that?
I know, right? Yeah. It's an interesting line. That caught my attention.
it's like you get this great setup, and then the delivery and just the line itself was so bad.
It really was. Like, that was kind of unnecessary. And debatably even out of character for Storm, you know? So, yeah. I mean, in the moment when you're young and watching the movie, and maybe you're naive and don't know the X-Men, it's like, oh, whoa, that was kind of bad. No, it wasn't really.
Yeah.
It was like, if I was Toad, my thought process would have been more like, wait a minute, what?
What?
Are you sure this is what you want me to hear?
Yeah. Like, you want this to be my last words that I'm going to hear? Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Oh, whatever. I guess I'm about to die. I mean, but if you can receive some critique, I mean, you could do better, girl.
Right.
You're Halle Berry.
Exactly. I feel like you should have prepared something stronger on the flight over here.
Exactly.
Oh, man. Okay, yeah. So next up, the X-Men, they're making their way up the stairs, and they're captured by Magneto. And Logan, he's able to break free, and he begins to fight Sabretooth. This is a really cool fight here. I really enjoyed their fight the second time around. What's interesting is that I remember seeing like a DVD extra of them like preparing for this fight scene, like seeing them do like the fight choreography for it.
Yeah.
And it's just really fun to see like two actors, actually doing that in preparation to actually do it on set.
Cool.
Like it's almost a lost art sometimes, it seems like, because so much now can be filled in with CG or stunt doubles, and very rarely now, or at least not as much, you don't see actors, fulfilling that type of role because they don't necessarily have to. But it's good to see the ones that do want to actually do it. And the actor that plays Sabretooth, I believe his name is Tyler Mane.
I looked it up. Give me a second.
Yeah. This guy is legitimately 6'8".
Yep.
So he is a big guy. And so, yeah, I think that he was a really good choice for Sabretooth, especially like the Sabretooth that doesn't really speak a whole lot. And this guy, he also played Michael Myers in a couple of the Halloween movies.
I believe that.
Yeah.
With that height, damn.
Right.
Like,
yeah.
we need someone menacing. You.
Yeah.
You're perfect. I have to point up to you.
Right. No, but we get a really cool fight here. Wolverine at one point even defiles the Statue of Liberty.
Slice around to get back on top. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, that, Professor X, Professor X taught a physics class earlier in the movie. Wolverine probably should have set in because this didn't make any sense. It was cool as all hell.
Yeah, I mean,
it's still cool to watch him do that. The whole swing around the spire and then land on top of it. But that's not how it works.
No, like you would need some weird ass torque to even possibly get a quarter of that spin out. Yeah. You need some magic. You need Doctor Strange at the bottom of the statue just going.
Right.
Spin you back up or something like, you're welcome.
Exactly.
You won't see me for a few more years.
And then, just Wolverine, like, his 300-pound frame, like, there's no way that he has enough inertia or motion to get back up for the rest of that swing. Like, there's no way.
Nope. Especially with his heavy-ass skeleton.
Exactly, yeah.
No.
But that was still once you take your brain out of it, it's still a really cool scene.
He would have had more luck. Okay, build this with me. Mm-hmm. So we're on the crown, right? And it's holding out above her head. I don't know the angle of what that is, like how far out it goes away from her face and everything.
Right.
He would have had more luck trying that out, as his reflexes, sure, trying to go out, cut it, and then if he slips out of it because he's so damn sharp on the claws, right? Slips out and he's falling and he has to catch himself into the wall and climb up somehow up this copper wall, just scaling that face, that would have made more sense.
Oh yeah.
But what we got was still kind of cool.
What we got was really cool. They sacrificed logic for cool. And
not the first or the last
not
that
the
will
first
happen.
or last time. No.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a comic book movie. We do kind of ask that they do that. So.
True. A man with metal claws coming out of each knuckle. Whatever.
Right.
Or in between each knuckle.
Yep.
Yeah, whatever.
Let's see. So they are able to stop Magneto, who is about to kill Rogue or sacrifice Rogue, we should say. Mm-hmm. And they're able to do it right before that field of magnetism and radiation hits the people of the gala, so they don't get transformed into weird mutants. And so Wolverine, he's able to take out Magneto right when Cyclops takes a shot at Magneto and weakens him just enough for Wolverine to get the swing.
Yep.
And he uses he uses his bare hand to touch Rogue's face to kind of bring her back, and almost dies again in the process.
Yeah, well, if you know it works.
Yeah, that's a hell of a sacrifice. I mean, because if you hold on a second or so too long, then yeah, that's it.
But that was a saving grace because, I mean, all of a sudden she went from magnetism to healing factor and brought her back,
Right.
So that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's well acted upon. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
One interesting thing I want to talk about here towards the end of this movie is as Wolverine is waking up, he's talking with Jean Grey, and he's asking Jean, how's Rogue doing? And Jean replies, oh, she's fine. She took on a few of your more favorable traits, but we already deal with it.
And now she's got the white hair, so that's something. Yeah.
That had me thinking, so was she going around grunting and spitting and cussing like Wolverine for 3 hours or so? I really feel like I needed to see that.
What are you saying, Bobby? I'm the best there is at what I do.
Oh, that would have been great.
Yep.
Yeah.
Just like a short take cutaway for that, you know.
We got any beer in this place? Kind of rat hole is this?
Yep.
Oh, that would have been great.
She takes out a cigar.
Yeah, that cigar out of nowhere. Yeah.
Doesn't light it. She just takes it out and the camera goes back.
That would have been great.
Yep.
Oh, man. See, there should have been a Rogue cut for X-Men 1 where we'll get more Rogue after she's been revived by Wolverine. That would have been great.
And Storm's the one who witnesses it girl, you can't smoke here.
Yeah. Storm is there for everything, trying to stop her and calm her ass down.
Yep.
She almost gets into a fight with another student. No, you got to calm down.
Here's an idea to you, Disney or Comcast.
Yeah.
Yep.
Next up, we see Scott. He's watching TV, and he realizes that Mystique has taken Senator Kelly's place as Senator Kelly.
Yep.
And then when you know it, Senator Kelly, he repeals the Mutant Registration Act.
Wah, wah, wah.
Yep.
This act on Ellis Island woke me up. I was in the wrong. They are not scary. But they almost attacked me. But they are not scary.
And next up, Wolverine, he gets information from Professor X that he doesn't get a lot of information, but Charles basically tells him you can start at Akala Lake in Canada, and you may be able to find some clues to your past. And so Wolverine, he heads up there after saying a goodbye to Rogue. He gives her his dog tags and tells her that he'll be coming back for those. Because she asks, is he leaving? Will he be back? So he does that as a gesture.
Right. Cool.
And then the very last scene of the movie we get is Charles and Eric. They're having a debate inside that little prison, plastic prison, while playing chess. And
Classic.
Yeah.
I have that exact chess set, actually.
Oh, that's the same thing.
That's the same one.
I'll be damned.
The glass pieces, we can hardly tell the difference. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I have that.
Quite nice. So they close up the movie with this little philosophical debate they're having, and Magneto says, they can't hold me here forever, Charles. He goes, well, what are you gonna do if they come for your precious children? And Charles says, well, I feel a great swell of pity for those souls who come to the school looking for trouble. I really love that quote. Because he means every word of it.
Yeah. I mean, even Gandhi understood sometimes fighting just has to happen, And I think at this point, this was Charles saying, if they come to my campus, they better watch their backs,
Right.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny because in the next movie they do.
They do, and technically they kind of win.
They do, yeah, you're right. you are
So,
not wrong.
Charles spoke a good game,
Right,
but,
right.
he wasn't there, and nor, were his team to back up those words.
Yeah.
Damn.
Absolutely. And yeah, that's where the movie leads us. X1. Oh man, so what would you rate X-Men 1, Kevin?
I really enjoyed it, man. You know, overall, it still stands as one of the. Dare I say? Yeah, I do dare. It's become a classic, honestly. In my mind, I'm sure I'm not the only mind out there who believes it's such, but it was an enjoyable film, you know? I enjoyed rewatching it and everything, and I enjoyed talking about it tonight, definitely. It wasn't perfect, as we spoke about. There was a few things where it's like, wait a minute, what the hell? Like, more recently, Toad, like, okay, that's a weird thought. Casting was done really well. Direction was given really well to some, but not enough to others, as also highlighted in summary of everything. But I still enjoyed the movie, man. Like, if we said, hey, you want to go watch it for your 13th time, I'd be like, well, sure, man, I'm down. Let's get our X-Men on, you know?
Yeah.
Our smaller Hugh Jackman on, you know?
Right.
But,
he was noticeably small.
oh, yeah. Yeah. Which he got respectably more buff as the movies went on.
Right.
But for this one, yeah, you know, we got, you know, early Wolverine.
Which also canonically doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
Also, yes.
Yep. So you mean to tell me that you were really big, like pre-Weapon X, you were really big immediately after Weapon X, but then you got really small.
Yeah, shortly after that, you got smaller and then semi-small, and then back to bigger. I'd still give this movie an 8, man.
That's exactly what I give it.
Hell yeah. Give me that same number bump. Same number bump.
Yeah, I give this one an 8 out of 10 overall. I thought this was a really great start for the X-Men franchise. This was like the shot that moviegoers needed for this genre to really take off.
Yeah.
Because after this, we got Spider-Man 1, and then we got like Spider-Man 2 and X2, and both of those really helped catapult the industry forward. But yeah, X1, once again, it wasn't the first, of course, comic book movie ever, but it was really one of the most important ones for this, especially for this generation.
Yep. Could you imagine how different our world would be today if it didn't do so well? You know, like would the right people have said yes to Iron Man being in production?
Well,
you know,
I mean, even before that, like would Sony say yes to Spider-Man if this movie tanked?
Even so,
yeah.
What would Toby have done?
Right. But yeah, it's not really no telling.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I guess that's where we're closing for tonight, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed this coverage of the classic X-Men.
Indeed. Let us know if you did. Please send us a comment or an email or something, you know, a review even.
Hell yeah.
yeah.
Let us know what you guys are thinking.
Yeah.
As always, guys, if you're looking for even more of our coverage, you know, you can go to our Patreon page, superherohomies.com/Patreon. As a matter of fact, tomorrow night around the same time, we'll be doing our review of The Incredibles 2.
Oh yeah, tomorrow's gonna be a late night.
It is.
Oh
it
man.
is. Yeah.
Oh man.
Oh,
and we got the 8 o'clock showing too.
We got the 8 o'clock showing.
Oh,
yeah.
shit.
Yeah. So we'll still be recording this time tomorrow night.
Oh yeah. And I'll be stuffed with popcorn.
Amen. Hell yeah. But yeah, so if you guys are going to be interested in that, maybe then you can check out our Patreon page and we'll have our review of that there. And that'll just be $1 a month if all you want is our movie reviews. If you want everything that we have to offer on Patreon, all our classic movies, TV shows, video games, and more, then you can just give us a small patronage of $3 a month, and it'll cover all that.
Amen. Yep.
Yeah. But as always, guys, if you guys have any other kind of questions, comments, gifts, food supplies, or luggage, then you can hit us up at superherohomies@gmail.com or the Facebook page, Superhero Homies. Hell yeah. And that's going to be it for tonight, guys, but we'll see you hopefully tomorrow night at Incredibles. And until then, I'm Quentin.
I'm Kevin.
All right.